Okay, and anyone of you have installed PyCharm as an editor?
Yes, sir.
How many of
Yes,
you
sir.
have installed PyCharm?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so today we are going to see the installation of PyCharm, and the main important thing is features of PyCharm. Compared to other IDEs, we will see which are the features. Because of that, it becomes a popular. Okay, so if you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, we can continue. Okay, so Jinkle ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Now you can restrict them for unmuting the things.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, let me share the screen meanwhile. Okay, friends. So today now, initially we are going to see when a function has an output. So I think as you are in the 5th semester, all of you are knowing the return function, return statement. So with the help of return, we can return one output value to the calling function. Okay. So I have taken one simple example that which has one input, one output. Each function cannot have, any function cannot have more than one output. Okay, it can have at most one output. So that can be sent to the calling function using the return statement. Okay, so I have taken one simple program that here I am getting first name and last name from the keyboard, which may not be restricted to any case. Okay, I am calling the function for formatted name where I'm supplying first name and last name. So here in this particular function, what I'm doing, I'm converting this app name into a particular format called title case. So first character will be capital and other will be in lowercase later. Okay. And similarly, last name also converted into title case. Using this title function, we can convert any word into title case or any text into title case. Okay. So step by step, let us see. So as I have written already this program. Okay, so if I call this function, if we run this, it will ask for say first name, say Sanjay SHEH. Okay, so we'll get output as a formatted in title case. Okay, now if we write anything after the return statement, for example, if I write here, say print whatever, never get executed. Once a return statement encountered, any statement then after will never get executed. All of you are knowing these things. I know. But when there are more than one return statements, is it possible? Yes, there can be possibility of more than one return statement. But once the return statement executed, then after no statement will be executed from that particular function. Okay, so here I have used two return statement. Okay, so just for example, I have taken this. Okay, so if I enter blank name, So it should give something as an output, right? Simply blank should not be there. Okay, let me try with this. Suppose I give blank first name and blank last name, you will get nothing. Okay, so it should not like this. At least some message should be given. So here I have checked. Here I have checked whether this input is null, then we'll give some message that you have to give a valid input or you have not given the valid input. Okay, so if I run this and if I give null, we'll get message that you have not given valid input. So here what I mean to say is we can have more than one return statements in a function, but it can return at most only one value. And once any return statement executed, then after no statement will be executed of that particular function. Okay, that's all for this. Okay, now today we are going to discuss is this. Say first of all, function with one output, multiple return statements, and using this we want to discuss one small program which will print days in a month. Okay, now let us see it. File, open. So here in this particular program, I have copied the leap year program which we have already developed. Okay. Then I have written a function called days in month, where I have taken one list which will give you the number of days in a month. Okay. Year and month will get from the keyboard from the user. Okay. And I will call the function and will store the return value in the variable days. Okay. And then I will print the variable days. Now here we have to use this leap year and we have to write some code here which will give you correct days for the leap year and non-leap year. For other days, it will be OK, right? So first of all, instead of printing this, we have to return true if it is a leap year. OK, so I will write say return true if it is a leap year. OK, so I will copy this here. If it is not leap year, we will return false. OK. Now here we have to check that whether the year is leap year or not. Okay, so how will we check? So we have year and month, which has to corresponding variables in this particular function. Okay, we can say year in, given the same variables also, say month in. Okay, so here we check that if month in is equal to 2. Then what we'll do? We'll call the leap year function. Okay, what is that? Is year into bracket year. So if year bracket year in we call this function with year in. Okay, if it is true, we will print or we can say it will be a leap year. So in that particular case, we have to return 29. Okay. So if the month is equal to February 2, then only we have to check whether it is a leap year or not. Okay. If it is a leap year, then we'll return 28. If not, then we'll do nothing. Okay, because 28 is already there in the list. So if not, we will. Okay, let me take 4 spaces. Else, what we'll do? Else we will return this month of days. Okay, month days. So return month days into bracket. What will be there in the bracket? It will be month in. Okay, so month in. Will it give correct result or not? Any one of you can say, can write in the chat box. Will it do? See, whatever the month we will give will be 1 to 12. Okay, but the subscript in the list will be 0 to 11. Okay, so we have to subtract 1, right? For getting the correct subscript. Okay, so here we'll print number of days. So let us run this now. It is asking for years in 1920. So month is 2. It should give. Oh, what is the error? If is year in. Okay. Is leap. Oh, sorry. Is leap. Run. So 1920 is a leap year. So we got result is 29. Okay. Suppose let us give any year which is not leap year. So 1981. Let us run this and say 1981 and the month is equal to 2. It should give what? 28, but we got nothing. So there must be some error, right? Now let us see our print statement. Days equal to days in month, year, month. This is correct one. Okay, somewhere here is the mistake. Okay, month days into bracket, month in year -1. Okay. MONTH. Oh, somewhere there might be indentation problem. Let us solve it. Okay. To if it is not divisible by 100, should return true. Okay. So if it is divisible by 4, then 100, then 400, true, else false, else true and false. Okay, let us run this. 1981. These two. Again, we got none. Let us find out the to write else part. Else part we have written month, days. Okay, if it is not leap year, if it is leap year, then return 29. In else, if month is not equal to 2. Oh yes, we have to write here also. Yes. Else we have to return. So if it is a leap year, then 29, otherwise this or okay. So no need to write this else part, I think. Okay, let us run this and we'll reduce the number of statements. 1920, sorry, 81. Let me give 2. Okay, so we got 28, right? But we don't want these many else statements, so we can simply delete this. So if month is equal to 2, even we can end this. No, okay. That's wrong. I think this will work now. Okay. This is 1981. Month is 2 and it is giving 28. Okay. So now remaining, let us test other years. It should give say 1984 and some month is 6. So it is giving 30 and so on. So this will work. Okay. So simply I just wanted to show you the several return statements. Okay. So we can use more than one return statement, but once return statement executed, no statement will be executed after in that particular function. Okay. Now let us discuss installing PyCharm. Okay. Now installation is very simple. Simply you have to go to any browser. You can say type PyCharm download or download PyCharm, whatever. You just go to the first website. You will find that jetbrains.com. You just click it. So here and here you will find out 2 versions of the PyCharm, that is professional and communication. If you want to download the PyCharm professional version, then you have to pay for that. But we will go for community version. The operating system, Windows, Mac OS and Linux, that will be selected automatically depending on the computer on which you are going to install. So before you download this community version, you should check the system requirement. Okay, so that can be obtained from this place. It should be a 64-bit machine. Minimum 2 GB RAM is required, but 8 GB is recommended and so on. So this is the system requirement and some installation instructions are also there that you can study before installing it. This community version that is absolutely open source and free. So once it is downloaded, it will take about a minute to download. Okay. So it's a small file, 371 MB. So it won't take more than 1 minute to download it. So once it gets downloaded, we'll select this. Okay, so when you run this downloaded file, okay, where is the file? Downloaded file. Okay, here it is getting loaded. Okay. When you run this, it will ask for the permission to install the software on your device. You simply give yes, and then just you give next, next, next. But this PyCharm is already installed on this computer, so it is asking for whether you want to continue or not. So I just give continue and next and next. OK, it won't get installed again. It will ask for another blank folder, but I'm not going to install it again. But it is very simple. You simply select next, next, and then finish. OK, so I'm not going to install it again. But the important part is for the PyCharm is that the features of the PyCharm. OK, so the first feature available with Python is the spell check. OK, so your spelling can be checked. Let me. Suppose here I will write, say, even in a output string, or say instead of context, suppose I write, say, CONTEXT. See, it will give error. OK, but it will run because it's a variable name. OK, you can correct it, but the spell check is there. OK, so you can write the correct spelling. OK, right. So spell check is there. Second thing is more space is there. For example, I have defined one dictionary here. OK, where several keys are there. Right now I have taken only one key and I have stored it in a separate file. OK, because suppose this program is very long and you have stored somewhere or you have defined the dictionary somewhere. So you have to go to that particular place. OK, so what you can do, you can store this directory in a particular file. Let me call here it as a data.py and very small. Okay, another name. Take. So I have taken three variables here. Right now in the main program, if I want to check actually the key is, for example, in this particular data for Sanjay and Ajay, I have taken first character capital, but for the third one, I forgot to write the capital and I have written small one. So I want to check or I want to see at the time of writing the code, we simply go to this file. You can split and you can put it on the right hand side. OK, so you can see this dictionary or you can see another file on the right of this. So immediately you can see or you can simply just copy and paste. OK, so if I want to print the context of Vijay, see here and I can write. So here there will not be a mistake of capital V or small v. OK, so this is another advantage of the PyCharm. OK, so you can write more than one file side by side. Okay, let me close this file right now. Okay. So another advantage is built-in linter. Okay. So for example, there is a proper program structure so that it can be readable properly. So for definition of any function, normally the standard structure says that there should be two spaces, two line spaces should be there. Okay, before writing the next code. Now, if we do this, here we can see this. If you click here, or you can see, and if you select the reformat the file, automatically there will be two spaces. Okay. Next thing, suppose for example, we should normally write space after comma just to read it properly. But if we write in this way, it won't give you error. Suppose if we try to run this, okay, we'll get the result. There will not be any error. But as far as the structure is concerned, we should put space here. Okay. But suppose if we not space here, it will give us the error or other warning or. Okay. So if we reform it, automatically there will be space. You can see here. Okay. Let us take this. Now, if we reform it, there will be two lines blank after the end of the function, and there will be a space after comma. This will done automatically. For example, you select and reformat it, so you'll get in proper format. So all the rules required, like maximum line length, indentation, naming convention, spaces requirement, okay, will automatically be applied if you reformat it. So you can reformat, or we can say it can lint it automatically. Okay. Next is local history. Okay, we can have a local history for this particular program. Now, what is the meaning of local history? Suppose I have written this program today. Okay, and if I will modify it, again I will modify it. And later on I came to know that the previous version was better. I made some mistake. So you can see the local history. Just right click here and find out the local history here. OK, and go for show history. You can see for each and every movement, for each and every change, that at what time you have made the change. And just by clicking, you can get that particular version. OK, so this local history is, of course, very much useful when you are writing a long length programs. Then this will helpful to you. OK, so just close this. OK. Now, second thing, you can view the structure of the program. So what is the advantage of the structure of the program? So whatever the variables, functions you have used in this particular program, if the program is very long, OK, for example, let me go to another program, say this. OK, so now if I go to structure of the program here on the left hand side, you will find out. So structure. So whatever the variables and functions which I have used, dictionaries, list, whatever. OK, so you can see this. OK, money collected, menu. So when you click here directly, you can go to that particular line. Suppose I collect money collected. If I click on this directly, you can go to that particular line. OK, so with the help of structure, you can switch over to a particular line in the program. It may be at any place. Simply just by clicking these resources, you can reach to the line where this resources is there. And the second thing, let us see. Let me go to another program. OK, so I have written here a very simple program. OK, before that, let me explain about the docstring. OK, so you can see here, when I take my cursor to this particular function. Okay, here you can see what this function will do. First of all, you will find the structure or number of variables, or you can say the list of parameters you will find here, and will return total of 2 values. Okay, so this is called docstring. So whenever you are using any function, inbuilt function or a user-defined function, and if you take your cursor to the function, immediately you will find out that what this function will do. Okay, so here when we define the function, then we have to write the docstring. So docstring can be returned immediately after the definition of the function with triple quotation. So if I don't write this, okay, we'll not find this docstring. Okay, see, you can simply find out the number of parameters here, but you will not get what this function will do. If you want to know, or if you want to display whenever you define any function, so we can define the docstring simply using the triple quotation. It may be single or double, and you write immediately after the definition of the function, then that will be considered as docstring. So whenever now this function is used anywhere, if your cursor will be there on that particular function, you will find out that what this function will return, okay, or what this function will do. Okay, so this is all about docstring. Again, whenever you take cursor to any function, which may be inbuilt or which may be user defined. If it is user defined, you have to define, or you have to provide the docstring which you wanted to display when this particular function is used. Okay, so that can be defined immediately after the definition of the function with the help of triple quotation. It may be single or double. Okay, so this is about docstring. So with the help of PyCharm, we can define this docstring also. Second thing is reformation, or we can say refactor. For example, this is my function. So I have used this my function at 3 places. Okay, and suppose I write one more function that print my function is a function. Okay. Now, if you want to replace the correct function name should be either add or total. Okay, so now if you want to change this function name by some other name, you simply go there, right click and refactor and rename. Okay, so if you rename this function, instead of my function, I want it to be add. Okay, say refactor. Okay, it will ask that at these many places you simply do refactor. So all the places where my function were used will be replaced by the new function name, say add. But it is smart enough that it will not change this my function with the name add, right? Because this is not part of the code, this is part of the output string. With the help of find and replace, we can do the same thing. But in that particular case, this my function will also be replaced by add. Okay. Otherwise, option will be given and you have to select one by one. But here, this my factor and rename is a feature of the PyCharm using which you can change all the places which affect that particular function. Okay. Now, let us see. Okay. Okay, so let us close this file now. Okay. Now we are going to create one project. One of the best project of this session of this particular workshop, that is known as the coffee machine project. Okay, so suppose you got the job in a company who are producing the coffee machine, and they ask you to write a program for coffee machine. Okay, so this coffee machine is basically has some features like it gives you 3 hot flavors. Okay, so this coffee machine provides you 3 types of coffees. Okay, this machine is coin operated. So whatever the coins you put in the machine should calculate whether the coins you have input is sufficient or not, or if it is more than even the required, then it should be refunded. Okay. Second thing, automatic cup dispenser. So it should, according to the quantity, it should stop automatically when the coffee cup is filled with the required coffee. Next is counting cup selling. So at the end of the day, whenever you ask for the report, it should give you that how many cups of coffees you sold, or you should, or the program should show that what the money collected. Okay. So basically this machine has 3 types of coffees. For example, one is espresso, then second one is latte, the third one is cappuccino. Okay. Now, since these 3 types of coffees are there, their recipes are also different. They need different levels of different quantity of water and coffee. They need different quantity of milk. They need they need different quantity of water, coffee and milk. Okay, so this espresso needs 50 ml of water and 18 gram of coffee. This latte required 200 ml of water, 24 grams of coffee and 150 ml of milk, whereas cappuccino required 250 ml of water, 24 grams of coffee and 100 ml of milk. Okay, at the same time their prices are also different. Okay, so espresso costs you $1.5, latte costs you $2.5 and cappuccino costs you $3. Okay, at the same time this machine has a capacity of the resources required. For example, you can maximum add 300 ml of water, you can add 200 ml of milk, and you can have 100 grams of coffees. So this quantity of water, milk and coffee you can add in the machine before you start the machine. Okay. It is coin operated. We know that the cost of the coffee is in terms of dollars. So this machine accepts only the American coins. Okay. So we have 4 types of coins here: penny, nickel, dime and quarter. Okay, penny value of the penny is 1 cent, value of nickel is 5 cents, value of dime is 10 cents, and value of quarter is 25 cents. Okay, so these 4 kinds of coins can be used in this particular machine. But since the value of the coffee in terms of dollar, these all 4 can be converted in terms of dollar. Values can be converted in terms of dollar. So this penny cost will be equivalent to $0.01. Similarly, nickel will equivalent to $0.05, 0.10 and 0.25. Okay, so these are the information given to us. At the same time, some program requirements are also given to us, that print report, that is resources and money. So when user give a report, then it should print the report that which resources are in of which quantity in the machine, and also the money collected till now. Second, check resources sufficient. Program should check before preparing the coffee that the required coffee, the resources for the required coffee is sufficient or not. You have to process the coins. So you have to ask for the number of coins of each type. Once it is received, you have to calculate the total value of the all coins inputted in terms of dollar. You have to compare with the cost of the coffee, and if it is more, it should be refunded. Okay, and check whether transaction successful means if the coins are sufficient, you have to provide the coffee, and at the same time you have to return the excess money. Okay, so I have prepared a document for that, or even you can ask or you can search, it will available online also. Okay, so each steps are given here. Prompt user by asking. So this is the first step, second step, and so on. We will see all these steps one by one later on. Okay, so let me close this. Okay, now let us develop this coffee machine problem. So initially I have taken this menu which has three elements. Three keys we can say: espresso, three types of coffees, latte, and cappuccino. Okay, all these three keys has the value which is again a list which contains two keys: ingredients and cost. This ingredients is again a list which contains the three types of ingredients: water, milk, and coffee. Okay, so this is the list which I have initially defined. Okay, now the most important thing here is that if the program is longer and longer, okay, then normally, as we had already discussed, that program can be break down in smaller problems. Okay, and they can be solved one by one. So which we normally do using to-do list. Okay, so in previous programs, I have used this technique that we write to do one, to do, okay, first step, second step, and so on. For example, say here I write to do. Something say where a code for user choice. Okay, so we write smaller steps using to-do list, and then we will write code accordingly, right? But here, suppose the program is larger, means it may have say 500 or 1000 codes. So and this to-do list may be at a different places and in the random order. So in that case, we can use the to-do facilities or to-do features of the PyCharm. Here below at the below screen, you can see this to-do list. OK, but if you want to use these to-do facilities of the PyCharm, you have to define to-do in the way that your first column must be hash sign, then to-do all in caps. OK, then any number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want. Okay, so if I write this to do in that particular format, and say 1. Okay, so now if you can see here to do list. Okay. So here you can see to do 1, to do 2, prepare a code for choice, user choice, and check resources sufficient to make drink order and so on. So in this way, just by selecting that, for example, here I am at line number 35. OK, now I want to find out what is the next, what is to be done. I simply go to to-do list 2. It will reach to the place where you have written this to do. OK, so with the help of these to do facilities, we can break down the problem into smaller problems and solve it one by one. Now let us solve this coffee machine problem one by one. OK, So our first step is, let me go to our file. OK, so here the first is prompt user by asking what would you like, espresso, latte and cappuccino. OK, so let me copy exact message from this file. OK, so let us print this. OK, I have to copy this. Control C. Let me go to PyCharm. Control V. OK, so this I want to actually input this input message. OK, say input. Whatever the user input, that you will collect it in a particular variable. Let me say choice equal to this, and let me convert it into lowercase so that the user may input anyone, we can check it. OK, so choice is equal to input. What would you like? Espresso, latte or cappuccino. OK, so here there is a syntax error. No. OK. Now let us go to next step. OK, check user's input to decide what to do next. OK, second, the prompt should show every time action has completed. For example, once the drink is dispensed, the prompt should show again to serve the next customer. OK, so let us go there. So something like you should write a loop while true should run. OK, so let us run this. OK, so user is asking, let me make this screen bigger. Say latte. It should continue to ask. Say espresso. OK, so we can use while loop to continue this user choice. OK, let us stop this. Let us see what is next. OK. Turn off the coffee machine by entering off to the prompt. So at the prompt, if we enter off OFF, it should stop the machine. OK, so let us do it. If choice is equal to off, then it should stop the machine. OK, so that means we have to take any variable which can give you the value of whether to continue or not. So let us say is on. We can use here is on. And if it is off, then we say is on is equal to off, false. Okay, now let us run this. Suppose if you give latte as an input, it will continue. Espresso, it will continue. But when you give off, it should stop. So it is stopped, right? So in this way, we can stop. We can solve the second step. Now let us see what is the next. OK. To print the report. So when user enters report to the prompt, the report should be generated that shows the current resources values. Okay, for example, this. So I want this as an output. Let us copy this. Go there. Okay. So elif choice is equal to what? Report. If it is, then we want to print this. Okay. Okay, so we want to print this. Okay, now again in the PyCharm there is a facilities of multi-line editor. Normally what we should do, we can write print here. Okay, and we'll copy the text, right? But in the PyCharm there is a facility of multi-line editor. For example, here if I say Alt and Shift, okay, and if I select all these 4 lines, then I can write anything for all these 4 lines. For example, say print into bracket, quotation and quotation bracket. So we can edit all these 4 lines. So how multi-line can be edited? Using Alt Shift. Just press Alt Shift and then select the lines to be edited. Okay. Okay. Now we want this to be as an output. Now next thing, we don't want this quantity as a hardcore quantity, but we want it should be the value from the variables. Now from where this will come? This will come from the resources. Okay, whatever the resources are there right now, we are not maintaining anything. So we simply print these resources. This resources is with what? Resources is the dictionary which contains the existing quantity of all the ingredients, water, milk and coffee. So if you want to print here actual value of this, we should print like resources into bracket, say water. Okay, now see, this should be F string, right? Otherwise, if we write F string, then only we will be able to write this as value. Okay, so all four statements. Okay, now similarly here I want to copy this F string. Okay, resources resources. Oh, we have written it correctly, right? Similarly here resources into bracket quotation milk. Okay, still we are finding error. Okay, because outside we have used double quote, right? So we cannot write double quote inside the output content. So here if we write single quote, then it will work properly, right? So similarly here also we can write single quote. So here also instead of the 76, we can say resources into bracket coffee. In PyCharm, you can directly select, no need to type the full word. Okay, so again, we need single quote here. Okay, now let us run this. Let me give, say, espresso. It will continue. If you write report, it should print the report. Okay, so 300 ml, 200 ml, 100 ml. Right now, we haven't got anything. We haven't did anything for this money. Okay, so if we write say off here, it should off. Right. Okay, so just let me take one more minute. For this money, okay, we have taken one variable called money collected. Okay, initially it is 0. So if we want to use this here, value money collected. Now in PyCharm, no need to write the whole complete spelling. It will automatically be there. You simply select and enter. So it will be there. Okay. So now if you run this and say report, you will get the complete result of all the 4 variables. Okay, save off. Okay, now remaining portion we will discuss in the next lecture. The next lecture we will finish this project. Okay, so I think today it's all about. We can stop this. Okay, thank you very much. If you have any problem, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.